Hello, this is Chris, and we're going to do a comparison video of Blu-ray high def HDR color coming from a LG 970 player and a Sony X800 player. And since I don't have the luxury of having both at my house at one time, I'm going to edit this video so it's split into before and after. And how I'm going to do that is I am going to use a photo app on my camera that's going to be able to allow me to fix the settings on the camera so the exposure and the shutter speed and the white balance are exactly the same. Now, as I'm sure that you know, you are not really going to be able to see the difference in high definition range video on this video on YouTube. But I think just the overall brightness and exposure is going to be enough to show you some of the difference, and I'm going to explain it as best I can. And right now I'm just taking a photo with my other camera of the camera settings that I'm using. I'm using the manual camera app. Right now I have it set to ISO 75 at a speed of 1/79th per second shutter and a white balance of 5891K. So what I have set up right now is the LG 970 player, and the first thing that I'll say about this is that the user interface is very white and bright. And what happens with this, if you're watching a nice HDR movie and you go to shut off the player or you go to the settings menu, you'll see all this white and just blow your eyes out if you're in a dark room. It's one thing if you have kids and you're just watching Dora the Explorer or something while you're making dinner and all the lights are on, but if you're going to watch a 4K HDR movie on your big screen TV, you probably want a darker user interface than this player will offer. So let me just show you a couple of the settings here. You can have network settings, you have a couple display settings. Here you can change the aspect ratio, what output resolution you can have. You can force it to be any of those settings: 480, 720, 1080p, or 2160p. Going back, I'm not even going to worry about using any of these apps. They're pretty much useless. One of the things that I did do right away when I plugged this player in and started to try to watch a movie was I didn't think the color was very good, so I did the firmware update right away on it. And after I did that and also adjusted my TV settings, it looked a lot better. I also did adjust some of my TV settings to make it look as good as possible, because I like a nice contrasty, rich, deep color, and I wasn't getting it from the player right out of the box. So my TV is a Samsung UBP-X800. That's the super ultra high definition model, which supports HDR10. It does not support Dolby Vision. One of the reasons why I bought the LG player was because I thought I could kind of stay future proof and have Dolby Vision in the future, but my TV doesn't even support that, so that's pretty much irrelevant for me. So I am only going to be looking for best picture quality out of here. Okay, I'll show you what happens quickly if you turn off the Blu-ray player. Boom, big white screen for a second. If I can turn it back on, it takes quite a long time to start up, and so long in fact that sometimes my TV even forgets what input setting it's on and tries searching for another input setting. This time it wasn't so slow, but sometimes it even lets my TV try to pick a different channel. Yep, it tried to go to a different input setting because it wasn't seeing anything properly, so let's just go back to the TV setting. Okay, so let's start up. The disc that I have is Oblivion, and I'm going to go just to a couple chapters so they're easy and quick to get to. Like I said, my TV is on, my iPhone is on, it's going to be on the same settings as I use for the Sony, and I have adjusted it so the video isn't going to be blown out. Okay, here's the first screen, so we can see a couple samples of what it looks like, and as far as I can tell on my iPhone video, this is pretty close. All the darks have visible detail in all of them. Those mountains look really good. Even the dark crevices in those mountains look really good. Contrast on this digital video stuff is pretty decent. These guys in black, none of those details are blocked up at all. You can see everything in it. All those dark clouds have lots of detail. This dark room is pretty detailed. Morgan Freeman. Okay, let's start at this scene here. Good skin tone, good detail. Blues don't look too bad. All the clouds are nice and bright. All the detail on his glove looks clean. There's going to be a close-up on his face, which I don't think is as rich as the regular Blu-ray. I mean, the skin tone is pretty good, but it could be a little richer. This movie isn't the most colorful. This room looks pretty colorful. Nothing's too dark. So we go to this scene. All those rocks have detail all the way into the dark areas of them. The green on that little plant looks really good. Okay, so I'm going to edit this video so I don't have to bore you with scrubbing around. We're going to look at part of this scene here. Some of the dark detail in the rocks right there is very clean to see. When we're looking down into that hole there, we can see all the detail all the way at the bottom of there on the regular Blu-ray. Some of that is so dark you can't see anything. Skin tones look really nice. Some of the subtle colors in the clouds come out really nicely in this movie. As time's going down, here's a nice shot where all that detail on the ceiling of the building is really visible in HDR. These kind of shots on the regular DVD, all the detail is in the dark areas, really gets just blocked up and you can't see quite as much. This scene is one where all the dark side stuff can't be seen. Vika's skin color looks really good here. Down here in HDR, you can see all the details all the way to the bottom of this crevice that Jack almost falls into. On the regular Blu-ray, it all becomes pretty dark. some really nice oranges in this firefight. They're even more saturated in the HDR than the Blu-ray, I think. It's kind of grainy though. Some of the dark scenes you can just see a lot of grain. I don't know if it's the player or the movie itself. In the dark areas, just lots of grain. This movie wasn't shot in native 4K, so maybe that has something to do with it. Everything looks great in the background there. That's nice and smooth. That hasn't been lightened up too much. So part of me thinks some of the dark areas for the HDR have just been over lightened when they did the color grading for the HDR version to just bring out some of the detail that maybe wasn't even there so much in the original movie. Okay, this is the Sony X800 Blu-ray player output now, and we're watching the DVD menus for Oblivion. And as I said before, the video for this on this iPhone recording viewed through YouTube isn't going to be exactly the same, but my exposure settings are exactly the same from using a manual camera control. And the first thing that you might notice is that the picture looks darker. Yes, it definitely does look darker than the LG. Now, the LG, I didn't change any of the settings for color or brightness. The LG, I did not change any of the settings, and it definitely looked very vibrant. All of the dark areas, for let's say in this here, this was a really bright scene. This was a pretty bright scene as well. Just this scene looked a little bit, the rocks in these next two scenes were definitely much brighter. That was a lot brighter on the LG. So everything is a little bit darker, but the detail is not lost. Let me tell you that. Watching this on my HDR TV, you can still see the detail. It's just much deeper. Like this guy with his dark things here, you can still see all that detail. Nothing's lost. It just is darker. Now, I think that the Sony is going to have more detailed control as well. If I go to the options here and look at video settings on the Sony, you can have picture quality, you can have automatic, you can have custom, you can do, I believe this is noise reduction here, you can have contrast, brightness, and crank up the color a little bit. So let's say I could even crank up the brightness a little bit on the picture here, and now that definitely looks more like the LG did. Definitely all the dark areas are much lighter, the detail's not lost, and it's not too washed out. The brightness setting on this isn't washed out, but it appears to be a little less grain on it as well. So for sakes of image comparison, I'm just going to leave this set to off right now. Actually, we're going to return to that. We're just going to go to, we're just going to leave it on the direct mode here, and then we shall start the movie and check out some of the chapters. This blue looks a lot nicer. It looks like a more accurate blue. All right, let's just go right to the flight start. Okay, first thing I can tell is the colors are a lot more saturated. That blue of the exhaust there is a lot richer blue. Jack's face and the colors of his suit are just more saturated. Of course, it's supposed to be a light suit and a white spaceship, bubble ship there. So it does have a lot more color. So I might go in and actually adjust the brightness a little bit, because this is almost too rich for my taste. I do have some settings on my TV that I had adjusted to try to increase the saturation from the LG player. So maybe that's overcompensated now, and I'm going to have to turn it back. But you can see the colors on this are really nice and rich. I think this looks on par probably for what I was watching on the regular HD Blu-ray movie, where I'd like to have the colors more saturated. If I'm going to watch a big movie, I want to see richer than life colors. I want to see rich contrast and deep color. The sharpness of this image looks just as good as the LG, but the richness is definitely there. The blues just are a lot deeper on there. Like I said, maybe that's a little bit too blue. Maybe that's a little bit too rich. Maybe that's a little not as accurate as the movie should be. But again, I'm going to change my TV settings a little bit on this. The sharpness is right on. You're not losing any detail on this. Heard another reviewer say that he kind of liked the silver screen effect of the LG player. The best that I can say for that is I think that LG just played everything lighter. You couldn't even adjust the contrast enough to get the LG player to ever look this dark or have this richer colors the same way. It just, their processor just did a different thing with the video, even though this is the exact same disc running on exact same HDR10. The Sony just has such richer colors on it. It just pops out. It's deeper than life. It makes you want to watch the movie with the lights down so you can see all those deep, dark, rich colors in the image. Like I said, the detail in those rocks there is all there. You can't see it on this iPhone video, but the detail is all there. The richness of that image is fantastic. All right, let's a direct comparison of this scene that I did with the LG, and this scene was much brighter on the LG, and I might be doing a side-by-side comparison here or after some of this narration here. It's definitely a lot darker, but the detail is still all there in those rocks. You can still just make out the shape of those rocks there that he's walking up to and up the top of that formation. And let's look down in the bottom as he's shining a flashlight down there. It's definitely a little bit darker, but you can still see all the detail, but it's nice and rich. It's nice and contrasty. It's not washed out. You don't see so much noise. The LG had a lot of noise in those dark areas. The skin tone on Vika and the graphics on the background, nice and rich color. Could be a little bit lighter. Like I said, we can adjust the picture a little bit. Fast forward just a tad bit here, get to the same spot. Oops. Back you up a little bit. There's some great HDR detail in the ceiling of this building as Jack comes through that you can't see on the regular Blu-ray. That ceiling detail looks fantastic here. And the Sony just has much less noise. The noise reduction on it for the exact same disc is so much better. The LG just has so much noise. It's too bright, and the noise is there, and it's very distracting for the image. Let's see when he shines his flashlight on the bookcases. Yeah, it's very dark, but there's no noise. Colors, those blues, that weird reflection of the blue on his jacket there on the LG was really distracting. It seemed unnatural. This just seems a little bit better because the color is deeper and it's not as washed out here. Let's see if we pause it right here. Color is still pretty good on the LG. You could see down that chasm just a little bit more, but there's far less noise on that image there. It looks a lot better. It looks more natural, not distracted by all that noise in the dark areas. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit to when he starts getting captured and see some of the orange colors from his gun in the firefight. Look at that nice deep oranges, just so rich and vibrant. That's a good dark detail. Definitely makes you want to watch the movie with the lights turned down so you can just see all that beautiful detail. And see down into that chasm again one more time. Nice and rich. No noise down there. Just all the detail of the atmospheric dust particles. Up he goes, and back down he's gonna come. Boom. Beautiful shot, iconic movie making there. Beautiful dark imagery in the background. You can still see all those chandeliers. So I have to say, without even adjusting the settings of my TV, just plug in this X800 unit in and leaving it on default, I'm liking this a lot more. The colors are just so rich. The darks are nice and deep, but still visible. This is what HDR is supposed to be. There comes 166 to the rescue. Look at those blues, nice rich blues and reds on the same shot there. Okay, let's stop it and just show you one last thing. The user interface for this is not all white like the other ones. You got your apps. I guess the DVD itself is considered an app. You got your screen mirroring. You got your setup here. It's black. It's pretty dark. You know, you've got the white text with the light highlights on it, but it's not blowing you out. I guarantee you, when I turn this off, the screen is just going to go black. It's not going to blow your eyes out. If you're in a dark room, you don't have to worry about looking at this and then all of a sudden seeing such bright highlights when you turn your player off. I'm going to turn it off here. Boom. Black screen, not a big bright white screen. Goes right down, and there's the TV settings. So turn this back on and just see what the startup screen looks like. I'm liking this a lot. The unit feels good. Everybody says it's heavier. Not that that matters. They could have just put lead weights in the bottom of it, but it's very quiet. You can't hear the disc spinning at all. It starts up very quick. The LG unit took a very long time to start up. It didn't look like it wanted to even start up. It just took so long. I just think the Sony unit is better overall. It doesn't matter if the Sony's never going to have Dolby Vision or not. It's the image that you can see right now is much better and much deeper. The performance is much nicer. The user interface is much nicer. You can't go wrong with the Sony. I don't see any reason to have ever purchased LG unit except if you think that you wanted to have Dolby Vision in the future. But your TV has to support that. Your discs have to support that. And I don't think there's even any Blu-ray discs, 4K HDR discs that even support that right now. So you're not going to see that for a couple years. Get the Sony and you're going to be much happier. Tweak the settings if you need to make it a little brighter, a little darker for your tastes. Forget about the LG. They didn't do a good job with it. The user interface, they didn't give any thought to that at all. The noise in the picture is just kind of unacceptable once you see the Sony image. So get the Sony. You're going to be very happy. Thanks for watching.